Hello everybody, welcome to Music View. See, my brothers and sisters, let me tell you something. Hey, salvation! It is free. Salvation. But why do they sell out for markets?
Make a life a better place for you and me. Together
So means that we
we
that their price is fixed. There's nothing you can do.
That's why I say I don't totally
music
disagree.
always
But not
got
like
to
I
reach
totally
every soul. Together we can make a better place.
Hello everybody, welcome back to another exciting segment on Music View. Remember, I'm your girl, Edoy Priscilla. Well, you all know what Music View is about. Anything that has to do with music, and we also tackle issues that has to do with the gospel music industry. Gospel music industry. Well, today we are having, as usual, a very exciting topic, and it is the history of music. The history of music. I don't know if most of you are like me. I usually ponder like, where exactly did music start from? Who came up with music? What led to music? Well, today we're talking about the history of music, the era of music. Just sit back, chill. You know you're a girl now. We had to dig out some things on Google. I didn't really do much. I didn't have to travel or do anything. So we are going to start from the first era. And the first era is the ancient era. Okay, the ancient era, and that is 35,000 years ago, 35 or more. We are not really precise about the years. And the first instrument in the ancient era was the mouth. The mouth, you have your hands and the foot. And it is in this particular era that humans try to mimic the sound of animals, the sound of birds and cows, and try to do the whistle notes, oh god, that sounds really terrible. Okay, so that's for the ancient era, and we have the medieval era. And here it says this is the first era in which we can be sure of how music sounds like, because in the ancient era there was nothing like a recorder or a studio or anything where they'll be able to record the sound. So this is where we are sure how music sounds like. And musical instruments like flutes and recorders were once used in the medieval era, and the next era is the Renaissance era. And in this era it brought a little bit of significance to music, because that was where harmony was introduced to music, where you see people singing with harmony. And for this period, that was where they increased with instruments with strings, and you have those ancient guitar where they use the bones of some animals to make. Well, in the Renaissance era, there is an example of a song, and it was recorded. They call it the Silver Swan. The Silver Swan. And people can go and look for the song. I don't know what the song would sound like. Well, from the ancient era to the Renaissance era, most of the songs were religious, because most of them were gotten from the church. So it was majorly for religious reason. I'm sure they also had situations whereby they did the song for just to have fun, entertain themselves. I don't know how it was then, Sha. The next era, we have the Baroque Era. So from 1600 to 1750, we have the Baroque Era, and that was where they introduced keys of song. So imagine the previous era, they would have been singing key C, key F, key Z, and everybody just sings together. So that was sounding really terrible. I can imagine. God. Well, in the Baroque Era, they introduced keys. And this era, they did some complex things in music, where they had to bring many pieces of songs of the particular song together, and it formed a beautiful harmony. I'm sure most of you do it presently. Presently, you see someone singing something else and the other part singing something else, and when they come together, it produces a very beautiful harmony. Well, it was in the Baroque era this was introduced. The person that must have come up with that would really be a brilliant person. Well, an example of the Baroque era music is George Frederick Handel Water Flows, or was it water music? Yeah, water music. Frederick, you could check that online. George Frederick Handel, water music. So that's an example of the Baroque era. Well, the next era is the classical era. I'm sure most of you know of it. Mostly my Catholic brethren, you must know of the classical era. That's from the year 1800 to, I think till date we still do classical music to an extent. Yeah, so that was where they did song with a whole lot of instruments like the keyboard. We have instrument of strings, and you see harmony, soprano, alto, and everybody coming together. You all know what classical music sounds like. Well, the next era is the romantic era. That was where people started thinking of bringing in some romantic stuff, bringing love, not the love of God this time, but love of man and a woman, and marriage stuff. And they introduced this kind of song for marriage ceremony and for lovers generally. That then you have harlots, so they sing those kind of songs then for their harlots. I'm sure you all know of the romantic kind of song, by the way. Well, we have the 20th and 21st century era. I don't need to tell you about this era. You all know about this era. You know the kind of song we have in this era. We have the impressionist, the expressionist, modern, postmodern, and contemporary song. Yeah. So that's that for history of music. Well, I think maybe we'll be talking more about music, because music, the history of music is really broad. I only spoke about the era of music today. Well, for another episode, we'll talk of more things we need to know about the history of music. Well, do not forget to subscribe to this channel if you have not, and click that like button. I still remain your girl, Edowan Priscilla. See you same time next week. Bye, guys.
Music always captivates every soul. Together we can make a better place.
Inspiring, making it heavenly. One nameless G's, this is lovely. Music is like bring it to life, the melody. With the gospel and the G start to cash happily. The bigger the better, we're coming together like brothers and sisters with love and so stronger. Yeah, music way better. Just G is more hotter. Music you always here, making a better life.
Music always captivates every soul.
Ever so, yeah.
Making our life a better place for you and me. Together we can make.
We have the next era. This is about from 1400 to 1600.
1, 2.
Give up, give up. I don't know if it counts.
Renaissance, not Renaissance. All those songs that we did, that's cool.
But it does not look Renaissance.
It's Renaissance.